The third single for ABBA's new album is actually on its way, and while so many seem to be talking about Just Like That, another unreleased ABBA song, let's focus on what we're actually getting, which is ABBA's brand new recording of their old outtake, Just a Notion. Why was it left unreleased back in the day, and why would it not only be redeemed for their new album now, but is actually raised to single status? This is the story of Just a Notion. Sit back and enjoy. Hey! So, today I want to talk all about Just a Notion, write about everything we know about this song. Earlier today the song was announced as ABBA's third single from Voyage for this Friday. We even got a snippet already, actually two versions of the same excerpt, of which one was treated with the sound of a transistor radio at the beginning. And my initial reaction when I first heard it, I'm honest, was ecstasy. I am completely blown away by the stunning vocal performance just from this little snippet, and the tight production with that revamped driving sound of the backing track, that honky-tonk beat, and Benny's beautiful tinkling piano bits. I am also extremely happy with that gorgeous artwork, which, as my friend Sam noticed, is very reminiscent of the Voulez-Vous era. So let's go back in time, because Just a Notion is not only unique in that it will be the oldest written song on Voyage, dating back as far as 1978, but it's also only the second time that ABBA continued to work on a song that is already a few years old and release it. As far as I know, they did that only once before with Crazy World, which was recorded in 1974 and picked up during the Arrival sessions, eventually being released as a B-side. But with Just a Notion, I assume they re-recorded the entire song, or most of it. Maybe they sneaked some archival vocals into the mix, which makes it completely unique. Again, it's now and then combined. And it will not be getting the B-side treatment, it will not even be a simple album track, it is released as the third single, and if that's not enough, it basically is the one song that really promotes the album to push it before its release on the 5th of November in 2 weeks. Why would they do that with an outtake they weren't sure about and satisfied with in the first place? Let's trace that story back, and we will see that they never entirely lost faith in that song. It's August 1978. This is when the original recording session started with 2 backing track recordings, of which they kept the first one. This was actually at a very early stage during work for their next album, which would be Voulez-Vous. The vocals were recorded a few weeks later in September, with shared lead vocals by Agneta and Frida, alternating with that unforgettable sound of all 4 ABBA members in unison. We actually do have a transmission of that recording session, not in an audiovisual form, but because a reporter was in the studio on that day and actually reported that the girls went over the vocal phrase "Right for me and you" over and over again for over 1 hour, but that something just wasn't quite right. The recording was never quite finished. Carl Magnus Palm writes that it surely would have required some further overdubs, but that no one really remembers the reason why Björn and Benny scrapped the song. Apparently the style was too much of a throwback to the 1950s, then they recorded Angel Eyes and preferred that one. Which is funny because this song is simply pushed 1 decade further up, back to the 60s as Benny described it. Just a Notion was never touched again during ABBA's active years, well, let's say during their first 10 years, and it wasn't even mixed, so it was left as a rough recording on the multitrack tape but unmixed. In 1994 we got this marvelous box set, Thank You for the Music, 4 CDs with ABBA's singles and B-sides, many having their debut on CD. But this was also one of the very few releases, and certainly the most generous, where almost an entire CD was devoted to more rarities. The probably biggest highlight was ABBA Undeleted, a collage of 23 minutes of several outtakes. Just a Notion was planned to be released in full length on that box set, so that song was surely treated on par with Put on Your White Sombrero. They tried to mix it for the very first time in 1994, but considered it unmixable, maybe because the recording simply lacked too many overdubs and reworks. It seems they still wanted to share a bit of it, and at that point Michael Bietretto had already prepared a preliminary mix at home. This one runs for little more than 4 minutes, and 1 minute and 39 seconds of it were released as part of ABBA Undeleted. So we see that they still really wanted to do something with this song, and in 1999 the ABBA tribute band Arrival got permission to re-record the full-length version of Just a Notion for their album First Flight, and it was also released as a single. Fast forward 2 decades later, and ABBA is back to take that song back and to release it as a single themselves, and an important one at that. But why? So I can think of several reasons, and I don't think it has necessarily to do with the fact that, oh, fans will already know this song, that's cool for them. No, I think this marketing campaign would be extremely well thought out. So first of all, whenever ABBA isn't convinced with their music, they usually would either simply leave it or try really hard to make it work. We can see that Just a Notion was somehow important for them over the years. Secondly, my friend Emilia, who got us a marvelous version of ABBA's Don't Shut Me Down, she told me how she sees similarities between Why Did It Have to Be Me and Just a Notion, both having a dance band style to them as she described it. And even Carl Magnus Palm described it as an up-tempo version of the beat from Why Did It Have to Be Me. And we know that this song must be a favorite of Benny, since he continued to perform it with Benny Andersson's orchestra over the years. He likes his dance band styles, so I can certainly see his affection for Just a Notion as well. And perhaps they also feel that this is the closest they would come to classic ABBA in a literal sense. It is harkening back to 1978. Now, let's also take a look at the lyrics, because when I reread them, they easily fit that tone of Björn's style, especially from Don't Shut Me Down. Just a notion that you'll be walking up to me in a while, and you'll smile and say hello, and we'll be dancing through the night, knowing everything from there on must be right. And then we got these even more ambiguous lines, which could very well fit that kind of self-referential form about ABBA from today. And somehow I know I'm not wrong. If it's our destiny, there's nothing we can do. And tonight is very special. It's the night for me and you. That will be incredible to listen to as a brand new ABBA recording this Friday. And perhaps it was even kind of a wink that we already got to see the full lyrics for this song as the only ones next to Don't Shut Me Down. I know there are many favorites that others would have preferred for them to re-record instead. Hamlet 3 is a big favorite of mine, just like that, and even Giving a Little Bit More are treasures as well for me. But perhaps that's exactly the reason why they wouldn't need redemption. They are as good as it gets. Just a Notion wasn't. They were never really satisfied with it, and the fact that their new version is now even regarded the best song to be chosen as that important third single makes it really interesting. What do you think of Just a Notion and that it is released as that important third single? Let me know in the comments below, and please be nice and civilized, as always. Many thanks go to Carl Magnus Palm and his book ABBA The Complete Recording Sessions. Alright, until then, hey do!